Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Erin, and today is Friday, which means it is Book Review Friday once again. Now today we are going to be talking about a Halloween themed book, which I know is a little odd because we just had Thanksgiving and now it's Christmas time. But I did really want to read this book for the author because this book was sent to me. Just want to hit you with that disclaimer in case you are, concerned that a book was sent to me, and therefore I will not give you guys my full honest thoughts and opinions. That's not how I do it here. I am very truthful. I will tell you if I do not like a book. We are talking about The Halloween Grindhouse by Reyes. Now you're probably thinking that the author's name sounds very familiar, and that is because I reviewed one of their books for Bookaween, and that was The House on Moon Creek Avenue. I really enjoyed that book. I'm very excited to talk about this book. So this is a Halloween themed book, so I know it seems a little strange, but I'm hoping you guys don't care too much because I personally think that I celebrate Halloween 24/7 all year round, so hopefully you guys also feel that way and you guys don't mind me talking about a Halloween themed book in November, the end of November. So we're talking about The Halloween Grindhouse today. Thank you to Reyes for sending me this book. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to reading many of your other books. But let's talk about the cover. I love this cover. I think it is so cool. I love the TV. I love the jack-o'-lantern inside the TV. I like the green smoke. I like that the font is a bright orange. I just think it looks really freaking cool. I think it gives kind of a old school vibe. I don't know if that's just me thinking that or if it was meant to have an old school vibe, but I do really like the way the cover looks. I think it's really pretty. Now that we talked about the cover, let's jump into a synopsis and then we can get into my overall thoughts and opinions. This is an anthology of stories all connected by a story called The Watch Party, which is actually broken up into intermissions in between the other stories. In this story, 4 friends decide to use an app called Randocation for some Halloween fun. The app gives them a random location to go to, and they're supposed to find a spooky place. It's just supposed to be some Halloween fun. They don't really know what kind of location they will be going to or what awaits them at that location, but they decide they have nothing else better to do, so why not? It's Halloween. When they arrive at the location, they find a television with several VHS tapes labeled by it. They decide to watch the tapes because they think they're harmless. They think that this is probably just some sort of Halloween prank that the app is kind of putting on for anyone who decides to go to a random location on Halloween. The first tape is the story called The Ranch, and this is about 2 guys who participate in a major drug deal. However, they end up in deep trouble with a drug cartel. The second tape is the story The Girl, and it's about some friends who decide to go to a haunted house where a little girl is supposed to haunt. However, it is not quite what they imagined it to be. The third tape is the story Mischief, and this is about a gang who likes to pick on people and harass people, but they actually end up picking on the wrong person. The fourth and final tape is the story Herbert's Halloween, and this is about a man named Herbert who you see go about his interesting Halloween activities. The last story is Slasher, and this is the aftermath of the watch party after they've seen the VHS tapes and kind of how the night comes to an end for everybody. Okay, so that's going to do it for the synopsis. Let's get into my overall thoughts and opinions on the book. I loved the whole vibe of each story. I really liked how they were all connected to the watch party. So the very first story is the watch party. You see the friends, they use the app, they go to their location, and then they start watching the VHS tapes. And I just loved that every story was a VHS tape that they were watching. It really gave me major found footage movie vibes, and I really like the found footage genre in horror. I think it's really fun, and I think when they're done correctly, they can be very scary, they can be very creepy, they can be just really good, and I feel like this anthology is what a found footage film would be if it was made into a book. That sounds very weird, but a good found footage film is like the equivalent of this anthology. Like, they're the same to me. I feel like I did everything that I wanted. They gave me the feelings that I wanted, and I don't know, I really liked the overall feeling from the stories that I got. I really liked the incorporation of the Randocation app. If you are on TikTok nowadays, I love TikTok, but if you're on TikTok or you've heard of randonauting, it's basically the same thing, and I really liked that incorporation of the app into the story, and that's how they found the VHS tapes. It made it feel very modern and fresh, probably because randonauting is very new. It happened, I'm pretty sure this year. I don't know if anyone was doing it before this year, but I'm pretty sure it became a big trend this year. So I like the incorporation of something that is very new and putting it into something that kind of feels like a found footage movie. You know, it's a very known version of horror. I think it was very smart to mix the two together and give it a very fresh feel. I really liked that each story is very different to each other. So yes, they're all connected and they all kind of feel like the same story because they are, I mean, each story is being watched by the watch party, but they're very different types of horror. You have some that are more realistic, you have some like bad people encountering equally as bad people. You just have different forms of horror, which I really like in anthologies because that way I think everyone has something they really enjoy in the anthology. If all the stories are very one note, I feel like it can be almost detrimental to the anthology. If the reader doesn't like a specific type of horror and that's all the anthology is, then it's more than likely that reader won't enjoy the book. But when you incorporate so many different types of horror, it's easier that at least one story will resonate with the reader. I really enjoyed every single story. Like I said, they're very different, but they are all connected by the watch party, which I think, I've said it before in anthology reviews, I like when they're connected, but they could also be standalone stories. I think each story should be able to feel similar, but also be able to stand on its own and feel like a unique story, which I feel like this anthology did very well, and I think that's why I liked it so much. My favorite story was Herbert's Halloween. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I am a big realistic horror fan. That's my favorite kind of horror. I love realistic horror. And I'm not going to talk too much about this story because I just think you need to go in without knowing anything, because that's what happened to me, and it just catches you completely off guard. I had no idea where it was going at first, and then when you start putting pieces together, you're like, oh snap, that's insane. It was so good. It was definitely my favorite story. It was the most gripping, it was the most fascinating, it was just right up my alley, and I loved every second of that story. It was perfect beginning to end, and I could have done with so much more of that story just because I loved it. That could be its own book. Honestly, I'm just saying, I would read a whole book that's similar to Herbert's Halloween. So I really liked the last story, which is Slasher. I feel like it was a very good story to end on. I mean, it is a slasher. That's why it's called Slasher. It is a slasher story. It's just exactly what you picture it to be. I just think that was a really great way to end the anthology. Just kind of go out with a bang and all, you know, violent, I guess. I just thought it was really a smart move to end with that one, and I'm also just a really big fan of slashers. You guys know that as well. And it really did feel Michael Myers-esque, which he's my favorite slasher. If you can't tell, I have Michael Myers earrings on right now, so a big fan of that one because it did feel very Michael Myers, and I liked that. I think the story that surprised me the absolute most was The Ranch, which is the very first story you read, and I think it was probably a very smart move to start with the most unique and most... It caught me off guard, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's about a drug cartel, and you don't read a lot about drug cartels in horror, at least I haven't. So I was very unsure where it was going when I started reading. I was like, oh, I mean, yes, this is scary, but it's not what I was expecting. And then the horror element just kind of slams you in the face and you're like, oh, this is where you were going with it. And I felt like it was very surprising in a very good way. And I think that was a very smart move to start the anthology with that one, because it's the most catch you by surprise one. Well, at least it was for me. So this book is pretty descriptive and gory and violent. So if you don't love gore, you're probably not gonna like this anthology, and it's probably not the anthology for you. But if you don't mind a bit of gore and you kind of like those violent, bloody scenes, I think you'll really enjoy this one. Overall, very pleased with this anthology, really enjoyed it, thought it was a lot of fun. It's a perfect Halloween read, so I will definitely probably be reading it next year for Halloween because I didn't quite make the time, you know, period. I mean, there's really no time limit to when you can read Halloween themed horror books, but I will definitely be reading this next year because it was a good book to put you in the Halloween mood, and now I'm back in the Halloween mood. Not that I ever leave it, but yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I hope you guys check it out because I thought it was a lot of fun. So thank you to Reyes for sending me a copy of your book. I really enjoyed it. This is the second one I've read from you, and I enjoyed both of them. So yeah, keep up the amazing work that you are doing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know what kind of content you enjoy from me. That way I can keep providing you with that kind of content. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read this or if you want to read this, and we can chit chat about it. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We can become friends, talk about books, horror, movies, makeup, all kinds of things. I do a lot on this channel, so hopefully there's something for everyone. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday with another video. Bye!